One of the things that I've rediscovered in doing intarsia again is knitting backwards. So normally picking up to do squares in this direction, we'd be doing it on the purl side. So we would be here and we would be picking up from purls, pulling through like that, from right to left. And I'm holding my hand in my yarn in my left hand because I knit continental most of the time. But if you want to work the other direction and stay on the knit side the whole time, I'm going to do the same pickup, but I'm going to do it as a knit pickup. I'm going to use my right needle. I'm going to loop it through and then put it on the needle that way. So basically you can do intarsia without reversing your work and flipping it back and forth. So I'm going to pick up my stitches this way, and then the last stitch is supposed to be knitted or purled together with this one. So I'm using a big circular needle instead of 4 or 5 double points. So I have an extra loop back here just to get it out of the way. So here's my stitch here. So if I want to knit these two together, I'm going to do that as my first stitch on this row. So I'm going to knit these two together. Then I'm going to knit the rest of the row normally, which in the pattern calls for a purl row. So, or no, a knit row, but I would flip it around and I would do this knit row. Okay, so I'm going to knit, in this case I have 6 stitches in my square. This stitch got put on reverse, so I'm going to knit through the back of the stitch, but it's still same thing, also knit through the back of the stitch here. Because I was purling, I purl so that I need to knit the next stitch to the back. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. So I've got the right number here. So now instead of turning my work around and purling back this way, I would slip the first one, purl 4, purl 2 together. What I'm going to do is knit backwards. So I'm going from left to right. Again, I hold my yarn, working yarn on my left index finger, so I have to do a weird hooky thing. If you knit British style, it's not as hard, but I'll try to demonstrate both. So for this one, so I'm going to knit to the back of the stitch with my left hand, because that's the way the stitch lays on the needle. So I'm going to go through the back of the stitch. I have to hook my finger to get the yarn around, and then I'm going to pull it off, and then I'm going to lift the stitch off the right hand needle just like I was knitting, but mirror image. So here, hook the yarn to wrap it around the needle, pull it through the front, take it off. Now if I hold my yarn, working yarn on the right hand, then it's a little easier because I just go like that, wrap it around, pull it back through and off. But I'm not going to switch my working hand just to do this. It's actually easier. So I'm knitting, but in the opposite direction that you would normally knit. And then I can, when I get to the end, I need to knit these two together, like so. Got 2. I'm going to hook my yarn, pull it through, take those 2 out. Voila. And then I'm just going to knit back the other direction. Again, I'm paying attention to which way my stitches are laying. This yarn goes to the back of the stitch, so I'm going to knit through the back of the stitch. Again, this bridge yarn here is going to the back of the needle, so that's the part of the stitch I'm going to knit through. All that means is I wrapped my yarn around the needle a different direction, but that was the easiest way for me to get the yarn there. So, there you go. One more time. with the first one. Again, this bridge piece is going to the back behind the needle. So that's, I'm going to knit through the back of the stitch. If the stitch was turned around this way, so the bridge was leading to the front of the needle, then I would go through the front of the stitch, like that. It just depends on which way you ended up wrapping your yarn around the needle. Doesn't really matter, as long as you look at the stitch before you knit it, you can figure it out. And that's knit back backwards.